So guys, after you do your 6 sketches, you're going to choose two of your ideas and you're going to choose one from the world issue side, which means what kind of problems is the world facing. I chose homelessness, um, and one from the personal side. So what kind of problems are people facing individually? And I know one of my things is always being on my phone too much. So I chose this phone addiction. And I'm going to show you guys how to get started. You want to choose those and in your sketchbooks really get a nice full detailed sketch out like this and do it lightly. So because we're going to be using colored pencils, you're going to be going over your original pencil marks. So the way you guys can get started, um, I like getting started just by filling in some basic colors, big areas, and really thinking about the color scheme. My most important guy is this, so I can also start with the most important thing. I like going in here, and one of the things you guys have to keep in mind, because it's starting out, we started out in pencil with the sketches. You don't want to lose your your drawing here. So I like pressing a little bit harder where my drawing is, and that way when I'm coloring, I won't lose any of my line work. I'm essentially outlining here. So with black. So you guys can either outline with a color that you're gonna use for the section. Let's say my skin here is gonna be a little bit orange. I can take an orange and I can outline that skin part, those important things on my skin in orange, just like that. That'll help keep um, all my line work and details alive. Or I can do the whole thing in black if you choose to outline the whole thing in black. It's up to you. This is a very simple thing to do, outlining the whole thing in black, but it preserves all of your line work. This would be easier, but if you want to challenge yourself, you can try different colors. Definitely control the pressure. If I want that moon back there to be light, I'm not going to press super dark on it. Remember all the things we learned about pressure. I'm just going to outline some of these things lightly. Boom, boom, boom. The key is having enough control to separate things and also keep your original line work there. You don't want to lose your detailed line work. So some of this stuff I already know is black. Some of it isn't black, so I gotta be careful. Okay, let's get the rest of this detail. Let's get the rest of those line works preserved here. And you'll notice it actually starts popping up a lot better with the black. I'm going to do it quickly. There we go. So outlining really helps in the beginning. Definitely solidify your line work there. Now I really want to start filling in some big areas. I think I want to start with the Kai. Um, just a skin tone. I'm going to use mixtures of this orange, which is nice. Just light. And it's easier to blend if you have um, If you're pressing lightly, it becomes much easier to layer over different colors. So let's imagine that his skin is a little bit this nice warmer orange tone. No one's skin is only orange. You can mix in bits of yellow. That'll start looking more like skin tone. Just like that. I'm going to lightly layer over it. You can also mix in some, let's do some darker red maybe. Yep, in the shadows. That'll help push the shadows deeper. Right where that phone is sitting on top of his face, I can make it a little bit redder. Looks kind of like blood. I can also use black. So I can use black in a very subtle way right here to represent shadow. And it'll get that phone to pop out more also. Boom, boom, boom. And this whole time I'm just using very light pressure because I like the way the light pressure really blends in with different colors. So I want to go in here. And I want to fill in everything. I want to make sure I don't leave the white areas of the sketchbook. I want to show where the shadows are. That's going to make a much better image if I can emphasize areas of shadow, areas of highlights. So think about that. You can get wider strokes. Just make sure you're doing a good job filling in those lighter areas. You can see I'm kind of cross-hatching there. Definitely some shadows in here. Let's start using a little bit more black in these areas of shadow. And I'm holding real lightly because I know it's a strong, very, very strong color. Control that pressure. Okay. And I can also press dark where there's like super dark shadows because of that shirt. And his hair, right? His hair is probably dark. Let's start pressing dark here. Your pencils are definitely going to last longer if you control where you're going to press dark. You don't have to press dark the whole time. I want to have some lighter areas. So his hair is not flat. Definitely want to get into those outlines. I don't like showing outlines too much at the end because then it looks kind of flat. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let's get that iPhone a little bit. This side of the phone should be a little bit in shadow. Really push the edges of that phone to help it pop out a little bit. Okay, and this part is just like its little arm. We can shade that in. I can darken it a little bit to stand out. So everything is about how do you how do you keep the how do you keep your drawing intact while showing while emphasizing these different elements next to each other. So right now I'm emphasizing this arm thing by outlining it. So it's a lot about contrast, and you make a contrast by different ways. So let's do that phone symbol. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm just kind of going quickly for demonstration purposes. But I do want you guys to take your time, get a good quality product. And this might be gray, so I want to make sure I'm pressing lightly using that black. There we go. This side of the face should be in shadow. Okay. Now I have to think about, what color is this shirt? Maybe it's like a blue. Maybe he's going to be fading out into the darkness. So I can think about his shirt color, and then I can take this black and kind of transition. Go in there and try to blend nicely, and then really push out the shadows. And those shadows can actually go back here. And the whole thing is going to be kind of like hazy and dark back here. And those figures are going to be emerging from the shadows. I'm going to do this quickly. I'm just going to put some sort of emphasis on these people, and maybe their bodies can fade downward into the shadows. But I want to make sure, you see how my strokes here are going this way, and these strokes are going up and down? I want to make sure those don't conflict. So let's make sure. I'll let the hands, not the hands, the heads pop out. That's where the emphasis will be. But the bodies, I think I want just the bodies to blend downward. Just so they stand out better. I'm starting to get a little bit loose here. I want to make sure when you guys are working, make sure you guys are doing a good job keeping those shapes together. We don't want to get all over the place. Keep those shapes nice. Fill in the lines. Make sure you're communicating your idea, okay? So boom, boom, boom. And then I can, this outward part, I can start trying to blend in my background with the rest of my work here. I want to make sure the strokes are kind of in the same direction. I don't want things too conflicted. So you can see right here, I'm going to try to make sure I find a way to blend those different directional strokes. So I'm just going to do a quick version of this. Boom, boom, boom. I definitely want the light to be coming from that moon. So I want to keep the light coming from that moon. Well, it's surrounded by shadows. I'm going to go in here, really make sure the shadow is coming from behind this moon. Boom, boom, boom. Now it's starting to get somewhere, right? We have highlights on the back, we have shadows. He could be considered the midtones. So I kind of want to tone down everything except for that moon. And this is just a quick example to make sure you guys aren't leaving that many white spaces like I am right now. So I could definitely take this further, especially by emphasizing these guys back here. But I think this is a decent place to be in before you really start going in and adding better details and emphasizing certain things better. So that kind of communicates my idea. Here, my phone is getting a little lost with the lightness in the back, so I can really darken it and really make sure it's standing out, the shape. There you go. So that's a quick demonstration on how to go from sketches to something like a final product. And this will probably take a lot more work to get it to a higher level. I would definitely add more layers of color. I would fill in a little bit more evenly before I call it finished. But I think this is a great place to actually start